Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is our own pianist in residence, Sam Page. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. And Jennifer Rourke is doing a little special event with our own Jody Lynn Craven on Jody Lynn's YouTube channel today. So, yeah, we'll miss her for this week, but she'll be back next week. But, Sam, you and I were chatting before we got started, and I gather we kind of got halfway through the conversation, then we had to do something else. But I gather you had a nice holiday. Is that correct?
It was pretty good. Yeah, nice and restful. Can't complain.
That's good. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, mine was actually one of the quietest in memory, to be perfectly honest. Very, very quiet, but very peaceful. So that's a good thing too.
Oh, that's wonderful. Sometimes that's what we need.
It is. And of course, we do have a guest joining us today. Her name is Ramona Fasula, and I hope I pronounced your last name right, Ramona. I usually check it beforehand. I did. Okay, good.
Most people don't. I always have to correct them. So thank you so much for pronouncing it correctly.
I got it right. Hooray!
That makes me happy.
Sometimes I get it right. Like, take a shot. Just go for it.
I have such an easy to pronounce name that I always feel for those with harder ones. So
Right. Sam Page. Yeah, there's a nice one. I like that one. That's your perfect stage name too. Ramona, I don't know if you know, Sam is a pianist, and he just launched his first album and so forth. And I could just see, Sam being introduced on Page, Sam Page, like a perfect stage name, Absolutely.
Very cool. I played piano as a child, and one of the things that I want to do this year is actually learn how to play guitar as well.
Mm-hmm.
Very big on brain health. And you can build new neurons in your brain when you are playing an instrument and learning a new instrument as well. So it was either the violin or the guitar. I love the violin. I think it's beautiful, just like piano, but it's hard to find music teachers that will teach that, because it's difficult to teach. So
that is fair.
Guitar it is.
Yeah. Well, that means we're full of musicians here, because I also took piano as a kid, and I played in a rock band when I was in my 20s. So, and I played guitar. So. Very
cool. Very cool.
So we got a musical theme going on here, but let's learn a little bit more about you, Ramona, because you are one who is an advocate of using food as a way of dealing with chronic conditions, chronic disease. And I'm curious to know how that got started. Tell us the story behind that.
Well, absolutely. So, my dad back in 2001 passed away from complications of type 2 diabetes. And, he was a textbook case, as what usually happens when it comes to diabetes. He didn't take care of it. And, it was just awful. My mom was his caretaker, and I know it started to affect her health, and she started getting into natural health to support my dad. And then I started getting really interested in it, not knowing that I would make a career out of it. Lost my job, and when I worked in the financial industry, and it was the perfect opportunity for me to start this business and, wake up every day and ensure that other people don't suffer the way that my father did. So, but through my schooling, I have a lot of different certifications. I have an MBA, going now for my prerequisites to get another master's in, nutrition science from the University of Texas. So yeah, it's definitely something that I'm passionate about, but I've seen food heal people, and act as a medicine. Food can either support you or it can hurt you. I've reversed type 2 diabetes, with my, clients. So, it's so powerful. We have so much power in our fork, and people don't realize it. I'm really blessed to be able to get up every day. And I know my dad's looking down, and he's proud of the things that I'm doing and the people that I'm helping. But, people need education. They need education on this stuff. And there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of information is not good information.
Talk about that for a second. That's important.
Well, even with studies that are out there, you have to look at who's funding it.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's funding a study, they're not gonna put out information that's going to portray them in a negative light. They're just not going to do that. So people need to be aware of these things. When you're looking at studies, it's good to do your research. It's good to look at different studies that are out there, but make sure you know who's funding it first. Make sure that, you're reading labels. That's another important thing I tell everybody, because food manufacturers are very sneaky. When people realize that an ingredient is not healthy for them, they'll change the name of it.
Yes.
The most famous one, I believe, is high fructose corn syrup.
Mm-hmm.
So they changed the name. Everybody knows that's not bad. I mean, it's not good for you. It's bad for you. So they changed the name. So if you see corn syrup or corn sugar and they'll say no high fructose corn syrup, well, you change the name. It's still the same thing. So, getting educated and just making sure that you're reading labels and looking at who's putting these different studies out. And there's a lot of them out there. That's for sure.
Yeah, that is true. We actually had another guest on who, about the end of November, I think it was. Do you know who Lynn Bowman is? She talks about very much the same kind of things you do. She wrote a book called Brownies for Breakfast, aimed at diabetics, and she came up with recipes that were, take all the sugar and junk food out and put in good foods in its place. And she was saying very much the same kinds of things you were saying, which I like, because I think the message is important. It's even more valuable when you're getting it from multiple sources. Right? Because, with the various kinds of propaganda we get, particularly from the food industry in this case, you hear the same messages over and over again. You start to believe them. That's why advertising works so well. So to get multiple people saying the other message, I think is really valuable too. So when I knew you were coming on the show, a month after she'd been, I said, yeah, this is good. I like this. This is repeat advertising of a different sort.
I could remember, Walt, when I was training under Christina Perillo. And if anybody's not familiar with Christina, she's my mentor. She's a great friend. She taught integrative health studies at the restaurant school in Philadelphia. And I took part in her classes. I trained under her. We did healthy cooking classes, and we studied Chinese medicine and integrative health. And one of the questions that I posed to her was, there's so much information out there. What do you do?
Right.
And she said, when in doubt, she said, look at the two oldest types of medicine that are out there, Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. You can't go wrong. So we studied a lot of those theories, and it was just so fascinating. She's an amazing person. I mean, she had leukemia when she was 25, and she cured it with her diet.
Wow.
If anybody knows anything about leukemia, it spreads like wildfire. And she healed herself through diet. And it was then that she realized that food is medicine. So she went back to school, got a master's in nutrition from Drexel University. And now she travels the world teaching people how to use food as medicine. So
very cool.
She's such an amazing woman and an incredible role model. I mean, she went through it. She's been, she came out on the other side, but, there's so much education that is needed when it comes to health, for sure.
No doubt about that. Yeah. I actually want to ask Sam a question about this, because Sam, besides being our pianist in residence, you also kind of represent younger generations. I don't know if you realize this, but this is one of your roles here on the program.
Oh yeah.
So from your perspective, I mean, you obviously you've grown up at a time where everybody is inundated by the internet, so you're kind of used to it in that sense. But
right.
But when you think about something like what Ramona is talking about, or Lynn talked about a month ago, this whole idea of food and food issues and how food actually directly impacts our health, how do you think about that from your generational perspective?
I think it's fascinating, and definitely like something about which I want to learn a lot more, because I definitely have learned from these guests here that there is a correlation between, well, just mental and physical and spiritual health in general, but food plays a lot into that. And I think there's like a whole untapped by the majority of people anyway, like vast well of knowledge that is most people are missing out on, because I think there is a lot of potential in food as a possible healer, and it's something I'd love to learn more about. But for where I am now, like growing up, I just kind of eat we discern our preferences and eat that and try to stay on as healthy as possible. And how I feel, usually if I feel good and don't feel bad after I'm eating, I feel like I'm on the right track, but I feel like there's always room for improvement. I think that's definitely the case here.
Well, that's always true. Do you get the feeling that others in your generation, particularly around your age, have similar higher, lower levels of interest in the topic of, the quality of food and so forth?
It depends. I feel like there are some who have more, some who are less concerned, but definitely feel like there are a lot of people in my age group who are kind of just like, oh, I'll eat whatever I want, I know, whatever. And I don't necessarily, I even care if it's healthy necessarily, just kind of like eating when they're full up. And I was raised on like having 3 meals a day. So if I don't get that, or if it's like get to past a certain time of day and I'm not eating, I get what many would call hangry, and then I get kind of surprised when I learn that isn't the case for other people. So it is interesting. I think a lot of it is just how you're raised.
So why don't we talk about that for a second, Ramona? And while you're talking about it, I have a cat that's trying to get in the door, so I'm going to move out. Give me 30 seconds to talk, and I'll be right back.
There you go.
I definitely agree with that. I think that everybody knows somebody that has dealt with health challenges. With the number of people in this country that are sick, everybody knows somebody that's a diabetic. Everybody knows somebody that has heart disease. And I think that when you see that, I went through it personally with my dad. I saw him struggle every day. And one of the things that he said to me was, when you don't have your health, you don't have anything, because your health affects every aspect of your life.
It's true.
It affects your family life. It affects your relationship. It affects your mood, each and every day. If you're skipping meals, your blood sugar levels are going to go crazy. And it's going to affect your mood. So it's going to affect your relationship. So, I can go on and on about all the things that your health will affect. But I think it's powerful when you see somebody that is sick and they're trying to fight their way back. It's a lot easier. I tell all of my clients, it's a lot easier to prevent disease than to fight your way back when you have one. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, they're seeing other people that are getting sick and they're like, I don't want that. That's the example right there of what I do not want when it comes to my health. But you look at the number of people that are diabetics. You look at the number of people that have heart disease. These things are preventable. Type 2 diabetes is a lifestyle disease. We have control over that.
So that goes into one of my favorite topics that we bring up every single episode, because it's one of my favorite topics, and it also fits in directly with law of attraction. What role does mindset play in all of this?
100%. 100%.
That's almost like serving up a softball on that
one. That's what coaches do. They help you get from point A to point B. Examining your mindset and Sam, you look like you want to say something there. I can see that.
No, mostly that I just halfway through the question, I knew that it was going towards the mindset direction. But yeah, mindset is like key to pretty much anything.
And it's not, it's for some people, it's not easy to change, but that's the beauty, like I said, of working with the coach. They know what questions to ask to get you to where you need to be. But it totally plays a part. You can accomplish anything. You can accomplish anything that you want to accomplish in life. It all starts in your mind. Where do you want to do? And I ask, what's your vision? What are you seeing for yourself? Make that vision board. Tell me what your vision is. I have 2 new clients that I started working with last week, and tell me what your vision is. What do you want your health to look like? What do you want to look like a year from now? You're going to sit with me the end of December of 2023. What do you want that to look like? What is stopping you from getting there? What has worked for you in the past that you're not doing now? Why are you not doing this now? So it all comes back to mindset. It's not as difficult as people think it is to make the changes.
Absolutely. Because like one of the questions you asked that stuck out to me is what's stopping you? And I think mindset is the answer there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are the obstacles that are standing in your way? You know, why are they there? Where do you think those obstacles are coming from?
One of my favorite questions to ask regarding obstacles is it true?
Yeah. Because a lot of times we put things in our head. Things that we fear, 99% of the things that you fear never happen.
I know. How about that?
Maybe something from childhood triggered the fear and it stayed with you, for your entire life, so working to change that. We all have fears. Everybody has fears. Nobody's immune from it. But, working through them so that you can come out on the other side and get rid of all those obstacles that are standing in your way.
That was always a big thing for me early on, especially as I was doing my own early steps of development in this general overall topic, which was recognizing, and somebody actually had to say it to me one time before I finally internalized it, recognizing that everybody does have fears. And that's just part of the human experience. And when you realize that that's true, when you grasp that, even Mr. X or Miss Y, who just seemed like superhuman, they have fears too. It kind of gives you a different perspective on, oh, well, not only are we all kind of in this together, but it's not like I'm way behind everybody else.
Right.
Like, I'm just dealing with the same kinds of stuff everybody else is. That's manageable.
Mm-hmm.
That could be attacked. That's something I can actually do something about.
I'll give you a really good example. I'm very into ballroom dancing and I like Dancing with Stars, right?
I love it.
So the season that just passed, there was an actor, Trevor Donovan, and his biggest fear was dancing. He was so afraid. He was so good. I think he came in like fourth in the competition. He made it to the semifinals, but he was so afraid of dancing his whole life because he was afraid of how it would look. But it turns out that it was something that he was really good at. So all that fear his whole life, like it turned out that he didn't have to think that way because he was really good at it. So it was just incredible. I think a lot of people were rooting for him to kind of get over that. And he said, now I love dancing.
Great. That's fabulous.
I love that. It makes for a great story and it makes him very root for-able, if you will.
Yeah. I was rooting for him the whole time and he did a really amazing job. Ballroom dancing is not easy.
No.
It's definitely not easy. Those professionals have a way of making it look easy, but it's not. Great form of exercise too. I remember I took 3 classes in a row and it was like the best cardio workout.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But fear stopped a lot of people. They really do. But recognizing it and doing the things that you need to do, to move forward is really, really important.
Interesting that we're mentioning dance too. I'm a social dancer, not so much of a ballroom dancer, but do a lot of different dance styles. And in fact, I've been taking a lot of classes lately. One of the reasons that I first got involved with dance, I got involved specifically with swing dancing, and I did it in part to overcome fears about meeting people. So it's one of those deals where you can use it either way. You can choose to be afraid and to hold back, or like Trevor did, you can use your fear as a way to say, you know what, I'm going to get past the fear and I'm going to take something new into my life. And oh my God, how cool is this stuff? This is really great stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you something else too. Every emotion is housed in an organ, and fear is housed in your kidneys. So when you live your life in fear, constant fear, it could lead to kidney issues.
Interesting. I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Well, it
Anger
also
is in your liver. So people that go through life in an angry state, that's why you have to get your emotions in check. Mind, body, spirit, everything is connected.
Oh yeah.
So when you have those negative emotions, when you carry negative emotions with you, it could lead to chronic disease. A great example of that, Joel Osteen, his
Mm-hmm.
mom had cancer, probably about 35 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen him live, and I heard his mother speak, and they didn't give her long to live. And she went and she let go of negative thoughts, and she asked people to forgive her. She forgave other people, and she started getting better. And she survived the cancer, and she's really healthy now. So that's a prime example of how, negative emotions can lead to chronic disease.
Very true. Yeah. And it's actually something that we talk about it periodically with different guests, particularly we've had a number of guests from the medical field this past year. And I always like to bring up the mind body connection and how much or how little attention mainstream medicine gives to it, but how much attention alternative medicine gives to it. And I love the fact that alternative medicine is giving more and more attention to it as the years go on.
Thank goodness.
It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
But I'm also thinking about where we came into the topic, because we came in with the fact that you are an advocate and really try to teach people the importance of taking the right food into their mouths. So it makes it kind of brings the whole question full circle to where I need to ask, okay, well, why is the food part such a big contributing factor? We already identified the mindset part. How does the food part fit in?
I think cost has a lot to do with it. I think that it's easy for a lot of people to just, go to McDonald's or something and spend, convenience is another thing.
Sure.
Convenience, cost, things like that. You can eat well on a budget as well. This is something that I teach people. I think there's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to health. And one of the things is that, well, if I'm going to eat healthy, then I have to spend a lot of money to do that. Eating things like your grains, your beans, your vegetables as well. There's a lot of ways to save money on, eating vegetables. Become part of a CSA. Where you're supporting farmers and you're getting your fresh vegetables. That there's lots of things that I teach clients to do that definitely fit into their budget. But I think money and convenience are definitely two contributing factors. I work with a lot of real estate agents who, they're like, well, I skip lunch because I'm so busy. Well, this is what's going to happen to your blood sugar levels if you skip lunch. So I'll teach them, okay, pack something. This is what you want to do to make sure that you're getting nutrients in that's going to support you throughout the rest of the day. So there's a lot of tricks that I teach my clients of, how to live that healthy lifestyle. Because sometimes it's not easy. People are busy. People are busy.
It's true.
But, like I said, your health is the center of everything. If you're working and you're not eating properly, you're not going to feel well. You're not going to have enough energy. It's not going to get you through the day. 3 o'clock, you're going to be reaching for that Snickers bar in a vending machine, which is something that you don't want to do. Make sure that you're drinking enough water throughout the day. So that's important. I think that's an issue that a lot of people have. It affects your energy because every cellular process in your body needs water. If you're not getting it, something's not going to be working properly, and you're going to feel it. Your body will tell you when something's off. The problem is, I think a lot of people don't listen to it. And then the problem is worse.
Well, I mean, you mentioned water. When I started paying attention to my water intake and noticing how I physically responded to, how much water I was taking in, I began to become aware of the signals that were coming to me from my body. And now it's gotten to the point where if I don't have enough water intake for that day, I feel it. I feel it in multiple places. Like, oh my God, where's the nearest water? Hurry up. But 20 years ago, I wouldn't have had the same reaction.
Yep. They say every 10 minutes you should take a sip of water. By the time you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated.
That's why you got the signal.
Mm-hmm. Your
Yeah.
body will tell you when something is off. You will know it. You will definitely know it. But I think that's a big issue for a lot of people. They're definitely not drinking enough water, and it's crucial. If everybody takes one thing that I say today, start drinking more water.
I can't disagree with that one. That's very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam and I are both guzzling here as you're talking.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I got to this point, but I started carrying 2 water bottles with me everywhere these
There
days.
you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Now, this also cues something in my mind. We're talking about food and the overall food industry, weight loss, all that kind of stuff, food, dealing with disease. It's like this great big umbrella. And one of the most challenging things about that umbrella is the contradicting information. Because like you said, there's not only a lot of information out there, but a lot of it contradicts each other. And there are different schools of thought. And there's like, there are philosophies. Well, you should eat this way. There's the different dietary types. There's the keto and the paleo and the blah, blah, blah. There's all this stuff. How do you navigate it? That's always a question. I think that any of us, even who know how important it is to have the right mindset, to drink enough water, to try to have a good diet, we still are experiencing this huge influx of contradictory data and contradictory theories. How do we navigate that?
That's a great question. My answer to that would be work with a health coach, because they have the education. They'll guide you to the websites and to the different books that you should be reading, and interview them. If you meet a health coach, if you find somebody online, ask questions about their background, what led them to want to become a coach. What's your background? Where did you get your education? And if you have questions about specific sites, specific websites, different books, ask away. They're more than happy to support you. The health coaching industry is exploding right now. There are a lot of health coaches out there that you can easily find, but they have the education behind them. Let them guide you. They're working with you. They'll do consultations with you. They'll understand if you have specific health conditions. They understand, and they'll guide you to the different resources that would be beneficial for you. That's something that I would definitely recommend. Before I became a health coach, I had a health coach. And it was so funny how the universe played a part in that, because I wanted to, I said to my mom one day that I wanted to, maybe work with a nutritionist, really learn more about diet because of what my dad was going through. And, she was in the supermarket one day, and she called me and she said, I just met a health coach in the supermarket. She's like, I really think that you should talk to her. I'm like, wow, that was not a coincidence. So it turns out she obviously lived in the area, and I met with her. I asked her what school she had gone to, the Institute for Integrated Nutrition, which I wound up going to as well. But I wound up working with her, and she started me into that profession. Everything kind of lined up with me losing my job, having met her, the opportunity came up, and I'm like, okay, I think I was upset for about an hour. And then I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. This is the business I'm going to start. I enrolled in nutrition school the next day. And then 11 months later, I had the certification. One certification led to another, but the universe played a part. I just threw it out there, and it led to a whole different career for me. And it's still leading to awesome things. I would love to have a PhD and get into nutritional research.
Wow.
So that I can do the studies. Well, that I can perform the studies that go out to the public.
Okay. I like the answer you gave about how a great way to sort through all of the info, the pile of debris where the info field is concerned, is to go through a coach. But I also want to press the point a little bit, because even there can be challenges, because not all coaches agree on what the best approach is. So let me go to that one. How do you sort out the coaches?
Well, I mean, I don't when I'm working specifically with clients, I see myself as an educator. My job is to educate. I'm plant-based. I am a pescatarian, but I'm mostly plant-based. I don't force that on other people. I educate them. This is what it means. This is the health benefits that you will get from having a plant-based diet. And I let them decide. So everybody has their intuition, right? When somebody's giving you information, if it's not something that you agree with, that's okay. That's okay. It's up to you to make that determination. But there's so many amazing, amazing coaches out there with so much knowledge to share. But it's okay to disagree. It's okay to disagree.
It's also okay to do what you were hinting at for a moment there, to go inside and trust your own intuition.
Yeah. Trust your instincts. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
Trust them.
That's actually part of the overall process. I mean, developing mindset, changing the life that you want to change to, all that stuff. It all starts with that internal connection. And so why not start to develop it where food's concerned? You got to start somewhere, right? So why not there?
Absolutely. And with me, I mean, there's a lot of amazing doctors out there. Dr. Neil Bernard, I actually met him at he did a speaking engagement in Philadelphia. He's actually friends with Christina Perillo, but he's written books on diabetes, how to reverse type 2 diabetes. So, looking at these doctors are like my rock stars. Like I look at them and I think, wow, like they're just to have the knowledge that they have and to be able to, put that information out there. So I read a lot of books from a lot of different doctors that are out there, spreading the word about food being medicine as well. So, there's a lot of great coaches out there, doctors out there that can support you and give you the right information. So I would look at that, but always trust your instinct. You have to be comfortable with the coach that you're working with as well. So, that's the whole purpose of the consultation with me, getting to know the person, them getting to know me, building that relationship. I worked in relationship management for years when I worked in the financial industry. So, but I'm a people person. I love people. I love learning from people. Everybody has something to offer the world, some knowledge that, that would benefit somebody. So I always take the time, that first consultation, to really get to know the person and learn about their background. And, but I'm always thinking, how can I support this person? What can I do? And it's funny, when I was training with Christina Perillo, I'd always sit in the front, and she said, I loved watching you sitting in the front row. And every time I taught something, she said, I would see the light bulb go off in your head. And she said, I knew exactly what you were thinking. You're thinking, who can I help with the information that I'm giving her? That's exactly what I was thinking. Took those notes and every session that I had with clients, I always applied the things that she was teaching. But yeah, a lot of great information out there. If people don't know who Christina is, look her up. She's got a lot of books out, New York Times bestselling author, just an incredible, amazing person. And I'm happy to say that she's my mentor. Great lady.
That's very cool. I like that. One of the things that's coming through very clearly as you talk, is that what is true for so many who get into the coaching field is true for you. You have a passion for it.
Yeah.
And it's a passion that it obviously started when your father was dealing with his diabetic condition. Yeah. But I almost get the feeling that was more like a trigger than anything. I get the feeling that this passion was there all along. It just took a while to discover it. And once you discovered it was like, yeah, that's it.
There you go.
Yeah, when my mother started kind of looking into natural research, and she had different magazines, and there's a health food store in my area in the Philadelphia suburbs that I go to. They know me by name because I'm always in there. But it was really fascinating. You mean turmeric is anti-inflammatory, and that can help with cancer, and like I am an eternal student. I'm always learning, and you're right. I found my passion, and a lot of people can't say that. So I'm very blessed to be doing what I'm doing. That doesn't go unnoticed every day. I'm just very grateful that I'm able to share my knowledge with the world and make a difference in people's lives, because it's needed.
Oh yeah.
The state of this country and the health crisis that we're dealing with, it's frightening. If you look at the numbers and, there's a lot of education that's needed for sure.
I think it's interesting also that we are living in a time where the more people become aware of the topic, of the options and so forth, it directly correlates with the fact that we live in the 21st century with the internet and this huge reserve of information at our fingertips. And it's almost like, people are hearing, here's something cool, and they instantly think of, well, I'm going to go find out about it. I don't have to wait for some guru to teach me. I can go find out about it right now. That level of direct connection to the data excites me. That's where one of my passions comes in. And when I think about how many people are discovering passions like you do, like you have, and applying it and doing it almost instantaneously, that excites me. I mean, that wasn't possible 50 years ago.
You're right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But it is now. And just, oh my goodness. Now, part of it I know is because I'm interviewing people like you all the time. So I get that. There's like a little skew there. There's a little bias that goes on. But nevertheless, you can still see it. You can still see the pattern happening. And it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, yeah, this is good stuff. Really good stuff.
I want people to wake up and just have a zest and a passion for life. And I think that diet plays a part in that. When you're sugar, I think about people that have sugar addictions, and sugar damages your DNA. How could you feel good when you have something inside of you that's damaging your DNA?
Mm-hmm.
Sugar damages every organ in the body. It's awful. And I understand, some people are addicted to it. I work with people that have sugar addictions as well. But I want people to get up and have that smoothie, feel good. Put some vegetables, some green leafy vegetables, some blueberries, which are great for your brain. Some doctors call them brain berries.
Yeah.
Right? So throw that in there, some bananas in there, get your heart going, do some jumping jacks or, whatever you need to do. Just, I want people to get up and just be happy. When you're happy, you attract more things to be happy about in your life. It's that law of attraction thing working again.
It is indeed. A good friend, former co-host Joel Elston, is very much into bodybuilding and working out in the gym on a regular basis. And on the last few occasions when I've asked him about his whole approach to how he handles that topic with his own clients, because he's also a coach and actually a former psychotherapist, he talks about how his one piece of advice is to move.
Yeah.
Doesn't even matter what it is you're doing, just move.
Yep. Get that oxygen flowing throughout the body. Your organs need oxygen. So yeah, definitely. I tell people during the day, like, set an alarm. 30 minutes. You're sitting down you may be working from home, sitting down, working for 30 minutes, set the alarm, and then that will remind you to get up and to do some stretches throughout the day. Go for a walk. Take a break, take a 10-minute walk around the block, come back, go back to working, but get that energy flowing and keep moving. I just read something yesterday on, Donna Mills. She was an actress from the 80s. She's 81 and she's healthy. And she was saying that people were asking what was the key to that. She said movement. Getting movement in. So living well into your 80s, making sure that you're drinking enough water, eating right, getting that movement in, having a positive attitude. Negativity attracts more things to be negative about. I see it with people all the time. When you complain. The universe hears it and says, oh, you're complaining? Okay, well, you must like that. So I'm going to give you more to complain about.
That's right. Oh,
and I know,
yes.
and I say to myself, oh yeah, something's coming, more stuff to complain about. Then I get a text. I can't believe this just happened. I can. You attracted it.
Oh my
You
God.
attracted it. You got to get into that positive mindset. You know?
And it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the other thing. I mean, you mentioned, Donna Mills living into her 80s. I on my father's side, I have an uncle who's currently alive at 106. And on my mother's side, I have a great grandmother who made 108. So I have longevity on both sides.
Wow.
And when I look at both of those individuals, one thing that they both had in common was a positive attitude.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a kindness
thinking.
too. Kindness also feeds into it. A kind attitude is a healthy attitude, I think. I think it showed up in their lives, and I think it shows up in the lives of most people who are kind.
I agree. The toxic negative energy leads to chronic diseases. Your organs will hold that negativity. It'll hold anger, it'll hold jealousy, it'll hold fear, it will hold all of these things, and eventually it will manifest. Disease starts out on the emotional level first, and then it manifests on the physical level.
I'm loving this.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite things to talk about.
I'm constantly studying all of this stuff and how emotions play into your health. So, brain health, and oh my goodness, if you saw the books that I had, in my home, I think I have about 12 or 13 books that are waiting to get my attention. They're just piled on the floor, like waiting. I finished one book, I got the next book.
Right.
The one book, The Universe Always Has a Plan, the 10 Golden Rules of Letting Go.
Ooh.
I'm into that right now. So always reading. But
and speaking of books, you have a book too. The
do.
Coach's Guide to Heart Health.
Yes. It's on my website, www.wellnessbyramona.com. I have some ebooks on the website as well on different health topics, and it's also on Amazon as well.
Okay.
Definitely, one of my goals this year is to write more. Okay. So definitely have hopefully some more books that are going to be coming out in the not so distant future. But yeah, Health Coach's Guide to Heart Health. I've had cardiologists read that book. It's very basic. It's a very easy read, very basic, and teaches you all about the foods that you need to be eating that's going to support your heart health. Heart disease is the number one cause of death in this country. So
it has been for a long time.
Yeah, it's not getting any better. So I invite everybody, check it out, and if you have questions, I'm always available. I love working with new people and sharing the knowledge that I continue to get each day with the research that I do.
I can remember growing up in late 1960s, early 1970s, and the big thing was, well, yes, heart disease is huge. It's the number one killer, yada, yada. We got to stop people from smoking cigarettes. That's going to take care of it. And so it was big anti-smoking for the longest time, all kinds of ads and promos and so forth. And certainly a great idea to cut down or eliminate smoking. And indeed, that has happened. We have a much smaller percentage of the population that smokes. But an odd thing has not happened. Heart disease has not stopped being number one.
No. There's a lot of factors. I mean, diet obviously is definitely one of them. The standard American diet is just very sad. I think about.
That's how they call it that, right?
SAD. Yeah. It's really, really, really sad. The high fructose corn syrups, too much sodium, too much sugar, all the preservatives. We didn't have these many, many years ago.
No, those are relatively recent inventions.
Yeah. It's frightening, but the good news is, you have people out there that can support you with the coaches. There are a lot of doctors that are now into, alternative medicine, and they're writing books about it. And there's a lot of different resources at our disposal that we can utilize. But I want people, like I said, I want people to wake up every day and just feel good and feel energized and excited about life. I think there's too many people that get stuck in that negative mindset, and it's just not good. It leads to disease.
In fact, food
There's
is
no way.
food is an essential element in that happy, healthy, enjoyable, vital life that you're talking about. Not just for the nutritional value. I mean, certainly the nutritional value is, deeply important, but there's also the soul feeding value.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're eating really good food and it tastes good and you're in good company and you're talking and all this kind of stuff, it is an entire sensory experience that literally creates better life.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And the more that we can learn to adopt that mindset, but also to adopt new behaviors, new ways of handling our food, not only our food sources, but how we utilize food in our lives, the better off we're all going to be, no doubt.
I think there's another misconception that a lot of times when you eat healthy, it's not going to taste good. When people think about...
Well, for good reason. A lot of the stuff that was passed off as health food tasted lousy. There was a very good reason for that.
But when people look at quinoa, tofu, I don't want to eat tofu. And honestly, I can remember when I was in high school, I had a friend who her mom was very into health and fitness, and she would feed her kids tofu, and I just I just never had it in my life at that point, but I guess I was part of that many years ago, thinking that, that's not going to taste good. I don't want to try that. But, but I do eat tofu a lot. Good source of protein. But I love sharing recipes too. I mean, there's something to be said about like a hearty soup that you make in the wintertime, or a nice quinoa salad. My new thing now is making farro salads. Have a lot of great recipes for farro salads, but I share recipes in my programs as well. I show people.
That's important because I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said that a lot of the early health food tasted terrible, and the people in the health food industry kind of got the message that we got to come up with better recipes. We got to come up with stuff that, combinations that actually taste good. And so there's been a lot of progress made in that area, but the old experience is still there. It's like, it's in the back of the mind. Oh, the food tasted terrible.
Yeah.
So it takes a little while to overcome that, perhaps.
Yeah.
But it's happening. It's people. I mean, there are some really great recipes being made and produced every single day using healthy food. So it's encouraging.
Absolutely. Food is medicine. I've seen it. I've seen people that were suffering from thyroid issues and heart disease and cancer and type 2 diabetes, all these different things. And food definitely supported it. So I definitely believe wholeheartedly that food is medicine. That's everything I believe in, everything I teach, that I have taught throughout the past 12 years.
I actually experienced it indirectly with my ex-wife who had hyperthyroidism. And she was told by multiple doctors it was going to be a lifelong condition. They were going to have to burn out her thyroid or something like that. There's all these different things that were going to have to happen. Plus she had atrial fibrillation that came along with it. So she had to be on drugs for that for the rest of her life. And not only did she reject that in her mind, but she also kind of upped the ante in terms of food that she was eating, that we were eating at that point. And the combination led to her actually defeating all of their projections.
Wow.
Wonderful. I mean, at one point, the drug dosage, I can't remember what the name of the drug was, but it was for treating the thyroid. The drug dosage was like at the maximum that they dared to give it. They said, if we have to go any higher than that, you're going to have a surgery or something. And within a year of that, they had her completely off the drug. Within 1 year.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sam, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's such a great example of like food and mindset and how it can make a big difference.
Huge.
Absolutely. I could remember one of my clients reversed type 2 diabetes. She went back to her primary doctor, and the doctor's like, "What did you do?" He said, they did blood work and said, "What did you do? I don't see a trace of diabetes in your blood anymore." He said, "I have to take you off your medication." That was it. And she's still diabetes free to this day. This occurred probably about 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Something like that. She's still doing great. She's following, the program that I had taught her, and no more diabetes. It went away.
My ex's doctors wouldn't go so far as to ask a question like that. That was a little too honest for them. And they wouldn't go so far as to retract what they had said earlier about how she'd be on the drugs for life. But one of them, her cardiologist, did, under the pressure of the reality of what was going on, say, he said to her, when she said, "I want to come off that medication as well," he says, "Yeah, I kind of agree with that."
I could remember meeting with my mom's cardiologist years ago, and he looked at me, and I knew he was about to say something really profound. And I was waiting for it, and he said, waiting for it. And he said, "I love what you do." He said, doctors are really quick to prescribe, himself included. He included himself in that. He said, doctors are so quick to prescribe medication. He said, we need to be more focused on diet.
Very good.
We use diet to support heart health. My mom got my mom off of her medications. She had a heart attack and got her off her meds. And she was doing really, really well. So, it's nice that there are doctors that are seeing that there is a better way.
It's a theme that has come through here on the show with, I think we've had like 10 or 12 different doctors on the show, a variety of different specialties, and all of them one way or another voicing the kind of I don't want to call it a wall. It's more like an event or a milestone, maybe is a better way to say it. A milestone they encountered where I think one doctor, I think it was Dr. Lucas said it. He said, "I was using the traditional treatment methods. I was following the protocols I've been taught to follow, and my patients weren't getting better." And I said, "That's not good enough. That's not good enough." And I thought to myself, wow, that's courageous, because I mean, he even told a story about how when he in very small micro steps started taking his steps outside of the mainstream, how his fellow doctors got all over him for it. So, I mean, they pay a price when they go alternative.
Yeah,
and
they do.
He was willing to do it anyway.
I don't blame the doctors. It's the medical schools.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, that's where it all starts.
Medical schools, but thankfully they are starting to realize that, their patients aren't getting better.
Right.
They're just kind of masking the symptoms, So, they're coming around. They're definitely coming around.
I think it was Dr. Lucas who pointed this out, that just like you said, it was the medical schools, and the medical schools have been teaching the same philosophy for like the last century. So the philosophy hasn't changed.
Right.
Despite all of the changes that have gone on in the technology and the knowledge and so forth, the philosophy hasn't adapted. And that has to give at some point. I think for the reason we're talking about here, because the results don't follow. You don't get the results you're looking for. And when you get enough results that don't follow, that's where you get the cracks in the dam. That's where the whole thing just starts to fall apart. The old paradigm doesn't work anymore. And so it's like any dinosaur. It tends to become extinct after a while.
Absolutely. We are starting to see that shift in that paradigm. So that's good. That's definitely positive. We still have a long way to go for sure.
Yep.
But we're getting there little by little.
We are.
Definitely.
Now, you were talking earlier about coaches and coaching and how to select a coach, but we haven't really talked about your coaching program. Let's talk about that for a few minutes before we run out of time for this hour, because as usual, we're just flying through the hour.
I do a lot of different things. I mean, I work with corporate as well. Like I'll do different lunch and learns. I'll do different challenges and stuff. Work individually with people as well. So it all starts with that consultation where I sit down, get to know the person, get to know the health history of their parents, because that's really important. That definitely plays a factor with genetics as well. And then I meet with my clients twice a month, usually for a 6-month period. And some people decide that they want to go further than 6 months, which is fine. But I customize a program based on that individual. So somebody that has type 2 diabetes is not going to get the same program of someone that has heart disease or someone that has a thyroid issue. So I'm very well versed through my education in what foods are necessary for certain conditions. And that's through my training with Christina Perillo, all the education that I have. So I definitely customize programs based on that individual. If they want to reverse a thyroid issue, if they want to lose weight, obviously we're at the new year. So weight loss is a big thing for a lot of people, a big goal for a lot of people. So, again, weight loss is not as difficult as people think it is. It's not. Eating the right foods that are going to support that, changing the mindset, which is where the coaching comes in. Sometimes you need a little help, and that's okay. Sometimes you need a little bit of help. You know what you want to do. You have your vision of where you want to get, but there are blockages that are creating that stuckness that you want to get around. So that's where a coach would come in to work with you to get you where you want to be.
Are there any chronic diseases that what we're talking about here it just doesn't apply? It doesn't actually, it isn't appropriate because it seems to me like this would be for anything. It could be, yes, for heart disease or diabetes, obesity, that sort of thing. But I would imagine it would also work for fibromyalgia or some of the other more esoteric, shall we call them?
Really good question. Really, really good question. So when you eat a whole foods natural diet, things fall into place because you're giving your body the nutrients that it needs, right? So things like your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your cholesterol levels, all these things are going to, your weight, right? Everything's going to kind of fall into place. So when you're eating specifically for one issue, it'll help other things as well, which is the beauty of it. So yeah, lots of information to share and, I just love it. Love what I do.
I can tell. I think both of us can tell, right, Sam? I mean,
for sure.
Sam, as you've been listening and you've contributed a couple of times too, what's your takeaway? What if you had to sum all this up and put a big bow on top of it? How would you tie all this beautiful stuff together?
Well, one thing I want to say also is just that a couple of times talked about how the state of the country's nutrition isn't the greatest and how we still have a long way to go. So I just really appreciate the work that you're doing, Ramona, and getting that information and doing the work out there. But yeah, no, I think just kind of listening to your body and figuring out, and it's okay to ask for help if you don't know where to go. And there's definitely benefit in perhaps pursuing a health coach, but also just the mindset is always key as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so important. So many people get stuck in that negative mindset. I see it every day.
Yep.
There's a better way. There's definitely a better way.
Well, you've helped us to identify more about what that better way is. If somebody wanted to pursue that better way with you, how would they find you?
Sure. They can just go to my website, www.wellnessbyramona.com.
Okay.
There's information about my programs, my background. I would love, Walt and Sam, to offer some kind of promotion to your listeners. Not sure what that is, and I'd love to talk to you about that. But yeah, I mean, I would love to offer some kind of promotion to them.
Well, then in anticipation of that, check the show notes, because whatever this is going to be, we'll make sure it goes into the show notes so that you can always find it right there on the show. So that'll be the easy way to identify it.
Perfect. And I want to leave you too, when you don't have your health, you have nothing. Make your health the center of your life, and you'll slowly start to see changes in other areas of your life as well. I promise you.
Yeah.
And the beauty is once your health is actually in alignment with where it is that you want it to be, everything else gets easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Really cool. Ramona, there's one other thing that I need to do before we part comfy for the day, because you, like virtually every other guest who comes onto the show, you are a giver. You give constantly to people, to your clients, to the community at large, people that you've never seen before, that you've never heard before. They heard your appearance on a show, or they read your book, or they read an article you wrote or something like that. And I think it's important to recognize those contributions. So on behalf of all those people you've never met and you've never seen, whom you've been able to help over the years and who you are continuing to help, thank you for what you've been doing for them. And thank you for what you're continuing to do.
Thank you. I wouldn't have it any other way. Like I said, I get up every morning loving what I do. And there's more people out there that I know need my help, and I'm here for them.
And they are going to be dialing that phone or clicking that form or whatever it's going to take to get in touch with you, I'm sure. But thank you very much for your appearance. We appreciate it, Ramona. Thank you, Sam. Thank you to our live stream listeners. Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.